This is Vicki Knowles, and she is the Director of Informatics at the Visiting Nurse Association of Maryland. Vicki, you had an outbreak with Mrsa. Give me an example of how you think you were exposed.
Well, at the Visiting Nurse Association, the field staff who go to the patients' homes, they use handheld devices. And the patient who, and oftentimes has Mrsa or C. diff or other infections, they are actually touching the device after the provider staff are, because they have to sign consent forms and sign out of the visit. So the patient touches the device, they give it back to the nurse. The nurse oftentimes comes into the office, hey Vicki, my email's not working, my device isn't working, it's not syncing. I take the device from them, and then it ends up that I contract or am exposed to the same thing that their patients had.
Right. Did you ever think you'd be infected with Mrsa?
Absolutely not. I didn't think of it at all. And as a matter of fact, the week that it happened to me, 3 of the provider staff were in the hospital with Mrsa getting vancomycin drips.
So what made you go to the doctor?
Well, it ended up that, and I think I should add that I wash my hands, I'm a very clean person, but I believe when you have a little bit of fingernails, that's why nurses sort of clean their fingernails on their hands like that, but I think that I had it underneath my fingernails. I had a little, I'm a picker, I do a lot of picking. So I was just standing there in my kitchen one day, and I'm kind of just, like I always do, picking any little skin thing that I feel or whatever, and on my butt, I had my hand on my pants, sorry, I'm not weird, but I had my hand on my pants, and I just was, whatever, and okay, so like a couple days later, I realized I had this growing bump on the bottom of my butt cheek, and by about 5 days later, it was huge, and it had come sort of a little bit to a head. I mean, it was really about that big, had come to a little bit of a head.
Okay.
So I knew that something was wrong, so at that point.
So you went to your doctor, and what was the doctor's response initially?
Unfortunately, the doctor, I don't think had really had a clue at that point. So she kind of just slid over on her chair and said, yeah, we don't have to lance it. And I said, but I'm leaving the state tomorrow. I'm thinking maybe you should do something. No, I'll put you on some Bactrin, it's fine. Okay, so that's really all that she did, and it was the wrong medication, and she should have done something else. Actually, she shouldn't have let me go.
So then what happened?
So I went to New York City with my son's youth trip, and the first night we were there, we were walking around a little bit, and I realized that there was some oozing on my jeans, and that the thing that I told her to lance had popped open. So it was going all over my jeans. I was a little freaked out, went up to my hotel room and said to a nurse who was there, can you please check out this thing? So she looked and she thought it was a spider bite. That's what she came up with. It's it's like tunneling, it's deep, it's a hole, and it had started not a hole, popped, and then it started to be this tunneling hole, which I guess is consistent with a spider bite. So okay. That's what she thought it was. And then my friend who was actually in nursing school who was there was like, I don't think it's a spider bite. I think this is something worse. I'm not staying in the bed with you. We all were sharing beds. I got the bed to myself.
So what did you do after your trip to New York City?
So I drove the car home from New York City like this, with my butt cheek up in the air, 4 hours, okay? Got home, went to the hospital, and was seen pretty quickly in the emergency room. So they injected me with a painkiller because it's very painful, and it didn't work. So then she started with some tools or something, tearing off the top layer of the infection as I screamed my head off, and the whole hospital heard me. So that was really painful. Then after that, they treated it with whatever. I was on my stomach, didn't say. They treated it with some stuff, then they packed it with packing. And then they went out and ran some tests, I guess, and came back, and the doctor told me that I have Mrsa. So then I started freaking out because I thought I had some STD or something. And she's like, calm down, I have Mrsa. My father, who's a surgeon here, has Mrsa. Probably every worker in this has Mrsa.
So what was the aftercare?
So the aftercare, so I thought there wouldn't be any. I thought she took care of it and I'm all better, but come to find out, I had a tunneled hole about that deep into my butt. So she said that every 2 days that somebody who was qualified would have to pack it, clean it, put medication on it that they provided, and then pack it. So luckily, I work at the Visiting Nurse Association, and 3 or 4 people who are actually in the office often are wound care nurses. So not only were they able to change it and clean it and stuff, they were able to see like how the healing process was going. So every 2 days, 2 or 3 days, I was in the bathroom having a different nurse change the packing on my bum.
And what kind of medication were you prescribed?
I think it was clindamycin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what precautions did you have to take to prevent other people, your family, other people from getting infected?
Well, I mean, I'm a little overboard with that anyway, so I actually really learned the precautions that I should be taking so that I don't have an outbreak again. So here, like a lot of washing, we have the pumps of
Antibacterial.
yeah, antibacterial stuff. So when the people bring their devices in, even if we are going to touch them, a lot of them have been told to clean them, but even if they haven't or they have, it doesn't matter. We're using antibacterial stuff every time we touch somebody's device.
Yeah.
I'm also, learned to clean under my fingernails where you carry stuff, though I haven't stopped picking. But as far as at home goes, when this was happening, I was really concerned. So I was cleaning the toilet, even though I had, bandages on it. I was cleaning the toilet after I used it every time with a really strong cleaning solution. And then constantly having people wash, and every time if I cooked or touched stuff, I was going over it with like the bleach wipes and stuff like that.
Good. And so overall, what was the worst part?
The pain. It's really painful when you get a wound, and I've heard it from everybody that I know that's had it. And I've had children, so I know what pain is.
You know pain.
I know pain. So it's the pain, really, not just of her tugging off the top layer, but just the whole thing was very, very painful.
So do you have any advice for other people as far as what they should do to prevent themselves from getting MRSA?
Just clean. Try not to touch things that have infection on it, and yeah. So that's pretty much it.
Well, thank you for sharing your story, Vicki.
You're very welcome. Does anyone want to see my scar?
No.
Okay.